Today I'm talking to Tyler. We're going to be building a Streamlit app. Tyler is already a very advanced Streamlit user and is currently authoring a book about Streamlit. And I figured today we would use the time to actually talk about a business problem on Interview Query and actually build a Streamlit app for that business case, an actual business case that I'm trying to solve for Interview Query. Anyway,
awesome. Well,
yeah,
hey everyone.
You go first.
Yeah, hey, I'm Tyler. I'm a data scientist at Facebook, and I also have spent a lot of time thinking about how to turn my analyses into things that other people can actually interact with. I feel like a lot of the analytics that data scientists do turn out to be like static documents, so like a Word doc or a Notion doc, or some metric at the end of a machine learning model, just expressing to someone, oh, this is the precision and recall of this model. But in terms of the lift required for other people to interact with any data analysis that I do, it's quite difficult. So I started working with this library called Streamlit, which was launched a couple of years ago. And essentially the crux of it is it makes all of that front end work really easy. So take your Python script, turn it into a front end that they can deploy in like a few hours or a day instead of like 2 weeks in Django. So hopefully we can like brainstorm and come up with something that might help this business problem that Jay is talking about. We also, the two of us, for everyone's reference, we haven't spent a lot of time working with this data. I think we got access to it yesterday, so there's going to be a copious amount of Googling and figuring out exactly how to use these tools.
That's the fun part. And also, back on what you said about front end, data scientists hate front end. That's just like a core principle of what we do. So I'm very excited, very bullish on Streamlit, and I'm like super excited to have this one-on-one, basically Streamlit coaching session happen as well. This is going to be awesome. But yeah, let's get started.
Sure. I think the best place to start is just in a new folder. So I made this new folder that I'm just calling Interview Query. Within Interview Query, I already have like a dashboard and a like IPython notebook, and I have some environment variables that have the read database password and everything.
Okay.
But before we even start with that, let's just go ahead and open a Sublime section for all of this. IQ comments dash.python file. The background for the problem that you're actually having, wanted to talk about it more directly, is essentially that we want to figure out which commenters of Interview Query are kind of the highest quality commenters around. And then we want to do something kind of special and nice for them, either give them like special features or access, or send them an email or talk to them or give something interesting on the back end. Do you have any more like context you want to share around that?
Yeah. So let's start from like a very high level, actually, because I want to break it down a little bit. Right. So Interview Query, as everyone knows, is a interview prep platform. You go through, you solve problems. People can answer the problems with writing comments. And so over the years, we've gathered a lot of really high quality comments, kind of like a Stack Overflow of sorts, but a paid freemium version. What I have been struggling with is this problem with how do we generate more comments and basically increase the amount of quality comments on our site every single week, right? We don't really have a metric for this, mainly because it's extremely hard to measure quality. But at the same time, we do have like, upvotes, downvotes. We have a lot of kind of signal on like replies, comment replies, all these, cool features on the site. And I think the key thing here that we're looking for is that one thing we want to do is to start rewarding the people that are actually contributors on Interview Query. So basically people that are answering questions, the questions and their answers and their solutions are actually correct, and then be able to pluck them out and then talk to them early on and give them, either like a reward or some sort of benefit, maybe a badge. Maybe it could be automated after they like pass some sort of trigger. But essentially just be like, hey, great job. Keep doing what you're doing. Plus, I'd love to talk to you about how prolific you are and give you more rewards of some sort. So almost like a little bit of a gamification plan. And I think Stack Overflow has done a great job of this. A lot of it has been like moderated. But for us, we kind of need these like moderator tools to kind of find these users.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So before we go ahead and jump into that, let's talk about like how we would actually make a Streamlit app. So I
Okay.
have a regular Python instance hosted here. And essentially all that you need to do to actually like start your own Streamlit app is you just like import Streamlit. Usually people do it as st. And then whenever you write anything, there's like st.title, for example, my new Streamlit app or something. And then whenever you want to actually run it, you can just write Streamlit run iq comments dash.py, and then it's just going to host in here. And then whenever you have any sort of data or visualization or something, you can just write it in the script and then pass it to Streamlit, and then Streamlit will have it show up here.
Nice.
So that's kind of, it's thankfully kind of that easy to get started with the Streamlit app in itself. The only thing that I'll kind of hide is we have this environment variable to actually allow me to read from your database, and it's actually sitting in a config file. As you can see, it's sitting this in this environment variable or environment file. So I have this like mini little script here that essentially grabs this engine password from my database, and then it creates this engine and then creates this connection that we can pass to pandas.
I noticed how you're at 8501. How many Streamlit apps have you created now? Like from 8080.
No, so 8501 is the port. So it's the export port that you're actually like hosting this on.
Yeah.
And so if you do anything like if you, there are a bunch of different ways to deploy these apps. And one of the ways to deploy them is just take the port that you are passing your Streamlit app to here, that 8501 port, and then expose that to another like hosting service like AWS or Heroku or something. And you can host it that way. There's a really easy way to host a Streamlit app, which is like Streamlit has their own function, which just says, put it in a GitHub repo, tell us where it is, and we'll host it for you. And so that's like stupid easy to actually figure out. It takes like 30 seconds. And especially once you figure it out, it takes 30 seconds. So I always use that instead of like some more complicated AWS work. I have to import this config file. I forget exactly how this worked. And then, so within this actual database, from what I remember, we have this read, I think it's read SQL.
Yeah, read SQL query.
And then read SQL query.
Both work, I think. I don't know why.
So you have this comments, this table called comments.
Yep.
And let's just try and read this as a data frame. There's this, it's kind of called the Swiss Army knife of Streamlit. It's st.write. And you can basically pass whatever object you want to it, and it'll just figure out how to pass it to Streamlit. So I'm pretty sure this will work. I'm not totally sure, but I guess we'll find out. And then the other thing is whenever your source file changes within Streamlit, there's this like rerun and always rerun command. I usually click always rerun. Create engine is not defined.
Oh, you got to import it from SQL Alchemy or here.
Something like that. SPD. Yeah, that's actually probably good for now. That's pretty good. And then this grab these comments. It has this created ID column, updated at. Can you talk about some of these columns real quick? So we have this ID. That's probably the ID of the comment.
Yep. QID is the question ID. UID is the user ID. Body is the HTML body. And then is deleted is if the comment has been deleted or not. And then content ID, this is just ignore that. That's for like something out of scope, basically.
Okay.
Can you expand it too?
Yeah, sorry. You can make it bigger.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So you can kind of do whatever with it.
Okay. Wow.
That's not too bad.
Neat. Yeah.
So I'm curious, what is the distribution of comments per user?
Yeah, let's look at that.
The first thing.
All you VCs, close your eyes.
Yeah, I know. There's an easier way of doing that, right? Can't you just do UID value counts?
Yes.
I think this will work better. Wow, there's someone that has 71 comments. Looks like there's quite a few like very active people with, 25 or 30 comments. And then it's looks like it's just power law distributed, and there's a long tail of threes, two, ones.
Yeah.
And I assume there's an even longer tail of zeros. Like this is only for all the comments.
Yes, there's a very long tail of zeros.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah. I won't guess at how many people on interview query have never commented. So let's add some like text here. So Streamlit top commenters dashboard is it? Let's save it. So what do you think is the best pass for some of this stuff? I know there's another comment upvote.
Yeah, so there's a comment upvotes table that is basically joined on the comment ID. So there's a foreign key on the comment upvotes table that will then join back to the comment ID comments table. Is there any way that we could find the most prolific users that comment at a more above average rate in their first month on interview query? Because those are probably the people that I want to pluck out and be like, hey, you're doing great. Let's keep on going there. And I guess to do that, we have to just like measure a standard deviation of like how many people actually comment on an interview query. But I have a feeling that if you even make one comment, you'll probably be in the top 10% of all users, because I don't think that many people do actually make comments.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, potentially it could be then the commenters out of all the existing commenters out there.
Yeah. So I think the other thing is we're probably going to want to have some input in this dash for like how long we're going to look backwards.
Okay.
There's like a number input function where we can essentially ask like how many days we want to filter backwards. So for example, we don't want to look at all the comments forever. We probably want to look at all the comments for the past like 100 days or 150 days or month or like whatever. Comment day filter. Comment reaction day filter.
Oh, wow. So you can just create a decimal input right there.
Pretty sure that if you do step equals 1, then it's going to assume an integer. Yeah, great.
Nice.
So then now what we can do is we can basically filter in the past. So these created ID columns, I'm going to pass them into the pandas date time and see what happens there. Streamlit takes advantage of the scripting, and it just assumes everything is a script. Everything wants to be run as a script. Let's use it as many times as we can.
Awesome.
I have to find for each comment and comment upvote how old it is, because it just has that created column. I think there's like a timestamped up now function, right?
Yep.
And I can probably just subtract those. Probably want this in days, and that'll get me the days since created. I think that'll work. So let's check it out. Well, it'll actually output in line 20 here. 543 days created at
first comment.
22.7. That's the only time that things will run well the first time. The rest of this, I'm sure, that is unlikely. And then we probably want to do the same thing for the comment upvotes. It's also called created at, right? That was the column name?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
Cool.
That makes sense. And then we want to be able to filter it. So I still always filter like this. And I know it's probably not best practice.
No, I still do that too.
Days.
I think that is best practice, actually.
Oh, really? And don't people use like the iLock and like all that other stuff?
No, I think iLock is way worse, but I'll let other people comment on that. But
well, that's what I tell myself, because I never remember how exactly to do it.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I'm going to do the same thing for the comment upvotes. And then numdays reactions.
Nice.
Yeah. And then this is empty, which makes sense. What is a good default value for these filters here?
Yeah, let's say like 30 first month.
So one thing that I'm interested in is the distribution of votes per comment.
number of upvotes per comment on average?
Yeah.
Probably not that many.
No, the average is going to be probably pretty deceptive here.
Yeah, you can run an average, and I bet it's going to be like 3 or 2.
But if you run an average on the comment upvotes, then that's going to miss all the zeros.
Yeah, so you have to do a left join.
So let's see if I remember this. Sure, and then
yep.
Now let's see if this works.
Right. So you have to group by the ID and then merge it, and then the vote function could be a 1 or a -1, implying that the comment.
Well, it can be, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so then we should do the sum of the vote?
Yeah. Yeah, we can downvote people. Probably a bad function, honestly. You usually want more positive karma in the world.
Yeah, I don't know, but some comments are really bad and I want those to go lower. You know, I grouped by the ID of the upvote, not the ID of the comment, which is why we saw a bunch of like 1s and 0s. This should do the trick. Yes. And then this number here is the comment ID, right?
Yep.
That's on the left. I'm going to turn this into an actual data frame. Forgot to write this out. Yep. So now we have each comment ID and the number of votes that it has. -3, 4, and then let's see if this changes. 2,500 days or something crazy. All right. Yeah, this seems to be working just fine. So let's call this comment upvotes grouped. And then now, instead of left joining this with the comment upvotes, we want to left join it with the comments grouped. And write on comment ID, how left. There's getting to be a lot of stuff that we're writing out here, so I'm going to just delete. So now we have this ID created at UID body is deleted, and then we have day since created and the vote. Maybe we have to look at more. Maybe there's nothing actually wrong with this. Maybe there's so many comments with no upvotes. I don't think that's the case.
It might be, actually. I mean, these are the first few. So you're looking at the last 30. So yeah, if you probably sorted by...
Yeah, we can just order it. That does not look right. Ooh, there are a lot of negative ones. That there's only a small number of any content that gets any votes.
Yeah.
Let's like even expand this to the past 3 years. I feel like this is more reasonable.
Yeah, so that's our problem right now is actually, I think the top comments get the highest votes and then everything else just kind of falls by the wayside. I mean, that's another problem, right? Like you got to shuffle comments, right? You can't just have like the best comments always at the top. What I'm also wondering is no one is finding these guys. So then is there any way that we can manually find these early comments effectively? I care more about activity, eagerness than actual correctness almost. I would be really interested in people that wrote like 5 comments in their first 5 days versus them all being like upvoted and deemed correct.
Okay, so why don't we take this section that we have and we essentially say, and instead of a title, there's another one that's called subheader. That's what I usually use, or we can use Plotly. I think this is how it works. I forget exactly what it is, but you basically write this like fig axis, these subplots, and then you can actually like write graphs here. I just want to get a graph of this, the votes by comment. Here we go. Okay, perfect.
All right.
Interesting. There's some, yeah, it's a lot of 1s, a lot of 0s. So I'm kind of interested in these people. So we're looking for the most prolific users, like their first month on interview query. Okay, let's go ahead and close out this section. This has the top 10 comments or something, top 100.
Is matplotlib like the default graph thing? Is that the best one that you found?
No, if I'm using anything in production, I tend to use Plotly.
Okay.
Because it's like default interactive and it's prettier, but I know matplotlib and Seaborn better. And so when I'm like starting and just making something, I usually start with that and then convert it over once I figure out exactly what I would like. The other thing is that Matplotlib's figures just do not work super well with Streamlit hosting and Streamlit caching because of like they try to set a whole bunch of global variables whenever you make these Matplotlib figures. And so it just makes it like a nightmare to work through. Just FYI. So that's why you'll like almost very rarely see a lot of Streamlit apps that have Matplotlib using them. And you'll see like Plotly is a really popular one, or
Seaborn is off of
bunch of
Matplotlib. I remember.
But yeah, it's built on top of Matplotlib, so it's the same problems. So how do we grab some user data?
Yeah, we can grab the users. You could probably run a join actually with the comments if you want to. Select from users left join comments on users.id equals comments.uid or b.uid. And then b.all. Yeah, that should be good.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's
now let's go ahead and double check. So I'm just gonna write the columns out here. Okay, yeah, so we got created at.
Yeah, we're
good. Let's name this better. And then this is the ID of the comment. Then created at is the created at of the comment, and then updated at is updated at of the comment. QID, UID, body text. Yeah, cool.
So
what's this? Oh, okay. This is all the top comments thing.
Yeah, that's manually curated. I got my super admin powers to find those, but I think that's kind of a goal of this too, is like, how do we find these top comments,
Yeah. Top comments, top commenters. I realized I screwed something up here. So these nulls are not showing up in this histogram. So let's fix that. Let's go back, comments, merge, fill in a that I think works just fine. I hope it does what I think it does. All right, there we go.
More
that makes a lot
realistic
more
portrayal.
sense. Yeah. Let's see if it goes back to 100 and see what happens. Ooh-wee.
Nice.
The good thing is there's not a lot of like mass downvoting.
Yeah, that's true.
That feels pretty good.
As long as the upvotes happen more than the downvotes.
We want to, again, get some input for how long the user has been around, and then also how long the comment actually happened. So we basically want to grab this same exact thing that happens up here. User created at. So I actually think what we need is the
comments that are within like a certain time frame, right? Like the first 30 days.
So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the date between the comment and the user.
And then you could filter it.
And it should probably go the other way. Well, I guess these nulls are when this user has never commented. And then if we left join, we're going to see a bunch of duplicates for users, right?
Yes.
Why is this negative 293?
Is it ordered the other way when you did the subtraction?
Yeah. So I was right in the first place. The other thing that we can do,
nice,
we just take the absolute of it and
good hack.
Leave it be. Wow, cool. Our numbers are positive. Excellent. What a win. Okay, so the user age at comment, and then now we want to basically filter for all the comments when the user age is like less than like a week or something. Value is 7. And then the users. So these are all the comments that were made in the first week of someone
creating their account.
I want to see if there are any users that basically made a bunch of comments in their first week. We actually just want to count. I'm pretty sure we can count any of the columns and it'll be fine. I think that probably works. And then we just have to
sort it.
Yeah. I don't know why I always do it this way. I should always just do value counts. It makes my life so much easier.
You got to add a filter for is deleted equals 0 somewhere.
Are they spammers?
Not spammers, but I think we have bugs on our website where people just like write their comment and then they'll look at it and they'll be like, no. And they'll write another one. And then maybe their internet craps out and they press the button 10 times. Oh, okay. You knocked it in half.
Yeah. But overall, yeah.
So huge power distribution. If you look at that, and we could maybe plot it somehow. Actually, I don't know if that would turn out looking like anything. but it's just going to be like huge
Okay.
power law distribution, right? A lot of them do actually end up doing something. So could I add a filter for users that just were created in the last 30 days as well?
Oh,
So
yeah.
then I'm not getting a bunch of users that stopped using that.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a user age filter comment section here, and age
User, yeah.
default you want to be 30.
Yeah.
And then you want to grab the people that they were created in the last 30 days.
Yep.
Then what we need to do is actually get this step here.
Yeah, you could just stay since created. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
It's just us saying, oh, yep, oh, yeah.
So we
yeah.
are grabbing the users that were created in the last 30 days, and we're ordering them by the number of comments they've made.
Yeah.
Descending. So user created app. Yep. User created app.
And that's the user age, and then we want to filter.
Well, do you guys have date picker? Is there date picker inputs as well? There must be, right?
Oh, I think there might be something similar. I actually don't know. So in the past 30 days.
There we go. 38945, baby.
Yeah, grab these 4.
These 4. You've now been heavily rewarded for your 3 comments in the first 7 days.
Yeah. Well, that's 7 days is a lot of time for 3 comments. That means they're commenting like, well, it also depends on the unique dates, right?
Yes.
So like if I go in and I comment 3 times, versus I go in and I comment.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this clearly is just a good exercise in just showing how much more we need to promote comments, I believe. I think there needs to be, general incentive for people to kind of continue to push them through. And I'd love to track the users that we actually set up to be in this user group.
Top commenters, the last, something like that.
Yeah.
So that'll get you the top commenters in the last 30 days. It's their first month. Oh, they do have a date picker. Let's just see how it actually looks.
So I guess I'm also very interested in like, what does the, is there like an HTML prettify on a lot of these things? Let's say that we wanted to use this as an actual dashboard for displaying the text, right? Like, let's say we wanted to display the actual comments itself and have someone read them. Do they have like features in which they've actually made dashboards for people to like view and interact with and like resize the tables and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the real winner about Streamlit that I enjoy is that you can take any Python object and then just like put it into Streamlit via like st.write. So if you have an image that is like an HTML generation bit of text like from Python regularly, what you can do is you can just like generate that HTML in Python, maybe even turn it into an image or turn it to text or whatever you want, and then just like export it to the app and it'll just kind of show up.
Yeah, that's true. Because then Write could then format anything you wanted. It's just like, I'm sure Pandas has some like features for prettifying everything as well.
Yeah, I've seen very nice tables written in Python. Not exactly sure how all of them work. But this is kind of the crux of how Streamlit works. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to mention that we can do is we can actually put stuff into columns. Like we can separate the screen so that it's not just like one long bit of text.
Yep.
I'll give an example at the bottom. If we wanted to have 2 columns, then we'd have this with column 1, and we could just kind of toss whatever we wanted in there. And so let's say we wanted to take this figure here, put it down below, and then we also wanted to take the top 100 comments and put this directly below this. And then we wanted to do the same thing for the second column, but instead of that, we just wanted to look at the top commenters in the last few days or something. Now what happens is we have 2 separate columns. Now it doesn't look pretty, obviously, but the right now, the other thing you can do is you can set the width to be wide instead of narrow.
Man, I'm interested in like when they start going like, you can just start dragging and dropping on this, because I feel like when you can start interacting the other way around too, not just like a one-way interface, it becomes very powerful. Of course, I don't really know what's going to do the code.
So now this is a default wide. And then for this, you can see like our 2 sections.
Gotcha.
And then you can kind of separate stuff that way. That's the crux how it works. And then I'll show everyone how to actually share on Streamlit. Oh, they've logged me out. It's nice. This is actually in beta. I'm not sure how much is in beta or is in alpha, to be totally honest. So I don't know what it looks like when like someone else goes on. But what you can do anytime you want to like deploy another Streamlit app is you can just write that there's a new app and then tell it, because it's hooked up to your GitHub already, and you can just tell it where the main app actually is. And so, for example, like I have a bunch of Streamlit apps here. One of the Streamlit apps I made is this Amazon demo that has a bunch of private stuff in here. This is like a private repo at the moment, I'm pretty sure. And then if I like want to deploy this, I can just literally take this and paste it into this GitHub URL, and then it'll deploy this app for me kind of automatically.
Wow. Oh, the balloons. Wait, what is this app? Let me see this one. The Amazon purchase habits. I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah. I can show you what it actually looks like. Actually, I'm not going to do that. Nope.
The Goodreads
Never
one.
mind.
Let's go back to the Goodreads one.
Actually, I think it's fine. I don't think it shows anything. Okay, I'm just going to show the top two. I won't show the bottom three because they show you more of like what your purchases actually are. So as you can see, this is when I was in college and got Amazon, and I didn't have any money. And then this is when I started making money, and I spent so much money on Amazon.
Wow, I like that climb. COVID too, 2020.
Yeah, 2020 is COVID. And then I would purchase everything. Like I purchased everything from like groceries to like just as much as I could on Amazon. I just went for it. And they have these purchases over time. And then I did like a really bad, like just moving average just to guess how many items I would buy on Amazon in the next month. Yeah, this is funny. These are actually Seaborn graphs, as you can see, because I was too lazy to switch it over to something else, and I debugged it enough to actually figure it out.
Okay, nice.
You can kind of do whatever you want with it, which is the nice part. So the Goodreads app. Oh, the other thing is I really like putting these little animations at the top of apps. I think it just makes them look very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so this will just scrape your own Goodreads. And this is only going to work until Goodreads really deprecates their API.
Gotcha.
Which they said they would starting in December of last year, but they haven't yet. So as soon as that breaks, this is gone. This is just going to be a 404 error. And then the only other thing I'll mention here is that I've used this, don't tell Facebook, but I've used this whenever I've applied to other jobs. Whenever I'm like looking around, or just, you know, if you have a job, you kind of want to see what you're worth elsewhere. That's usually a pretty good idea. And I end up like making, whenever I have a take home, I end up making a Streamlit app and then protecting it behind like a password or something that I pass to them. And then just asking them to go and look at that so they can actually interact with it, instead of just sending them like a Jupyter notebook that is like exported to a PDF or some garbage.
Streamlit apps are definitely the new hot thing, I think, when people are doing their take-home assignments. And then once
have you heard of other people using it?
I have, actually.
I'm trying to encourage others.
They say it's like it looks very impressive. I heard of multiple data scientists on Interview Query that use it. Definitely something good to learn for take-homes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just always going to be better than like slides.
Yeah, that's a de facto. Yeah. Cool. Well, this is sweet. I learned a lot about Streamlit today. I learned a lot about my own app today after not doing analytics for a while.
I'm sure if we spent a couple more hours on it, we could get something that like is super useful. But I hope this like has kickstarted some different ideas.
I'm already thinking about moving my current dashboard from Google Sheets over to Streamlit.
Well, you can always just run Python in your Google Sheets. You know, it's easy.
The thing about Google Sheets is that you can instantly go from data to visualization with no code tools. And I haven't found another one that makes it look as good that fast, you know?
No, it's so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so quick.
Yeah.
That one of the benefits that I really enjoy about I love Sheets. Whenever I have live survey data or something, when I start, I just like toss some basic visualization on Google Sheets and just use that all the time. But I think that over time, things in Python and this front end becomes so easy that the difference in effort between making a Google Sheet visualization and making a Streamlit visualization is just shrinking and shrinking.
Mhm.
Whereas 2 years ago, if you would have asked me about it, like, or even a year ago, I would have said like, oh my God, like a Flask app or a Django app is just like a week of work that is probably not even going to work that well.
No.
And so the effort is just so high. Whereas now, like, we whip something up in not that long that has like user input, actually filters data, like whatever else. And this UI isn't pretty, but also it's an hour.
Yeah. I think like the best use case is like creating these SQL like queries. You put them into YAML files, right? And then basically when you commit them to GitHub, they automatically get run in like some ETL every single day that updates like the Streamlit app. Or every single time you load the Streamlit app, it reruns it. I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, you can, every time you load this right now, it's rerunning the read queries.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like every time you refresh the page, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anytime we rerun anything. There's also a little button here that's like rerun that is just gonna like rerun it all.
Nice.
But it's not gonna sit there for a while if that's what you're worried about.
Yeah.
I will say writing SQL in pandas, like it's good for what we did, which is just a very simple select join where. But after that, I don't love writing my SQL there. I like have to move it to something else.
Oh, yeah. You shouldn't see our backend. It's basically just a massive SQL query ported into like a data frame, and then it gets exported.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah.
I'll post a link to the book that I've written. So for background, I wrote this book on Streamlit. I learned a lot as a data scientist from reading longer books on subjects. I don't learn extremely well with like shorter blog posts or just from reading documentation. And so I wanted to like put something in the ecosystem that like I would have liked when I had first started learning Streamlit, and something that I would generally use. Yeah, so it includes a bunch of like examples and a lot of different ways that you can actually use Streamlit. And
we'll put the link in the description. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this book. I'm down to dive in and invest into Streamlit. I'd love to see the analytics on how well they're doing, and I'm sure they're going to grow bigger and better. And Tyler's book will be the de facto resource, I'm sure, for years to come.
Oh yeah, they're going to just point the VCs to the book and say, "Got to toss some money in there now." No, but also one other comment is like, if you're a data scientist that like can't really afford a book like this, like just like reach out to me on Twitter, and I'm happy to just send you an electric copy, like a PDF or something.
That's awesome. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks.